Hey guys, so I watched the first episode of the new Nathan Fielder show, The Rehearsal. I'm kind of doing a catch up on 2022 movies and TV shows that I wanted to watch. I finally watched Doctor Strange 2 and it was a mess of a movie. I watched the new Fantastic Beasts movie. It was also kind of a train wreck of a movie. And now I'm just watched The Rehearsal, and I just watched the first episode, but I had a lot to say, and I was a little eager to talk about it. So keep in mind, I didn't watch the whole season so far, it's still ongoing, but let me just give you my thoughts on it because I am a Nathan Fielder fan. I first heard of this guy from a Canadian TV show. This hour has 22 minutes. He kind of had his own segment in that TV show. For all you American viewers, that's basically Canadian SNL ish. Kind of has like a weirder edge to it. But anyway, he was on This Hour Has 22 Minutes, but most people would know him from Nathan For You, which is a brilliant show. I would say it's probably one of my go-to shows if I would just want to fucking laugh hysterically. Kenny versus Spenny, Nathan For You, those are the two funniest shows. They just crack me up. I don't know why. Something about Canadians. Everyone knows Nathan For You from that dumb Starbucks episode. That's the one that everyone remembers. But there's so many classic Nathan For You episodes. I love the Mall Santa episode. I love the Claw of Shame. I watched the Claw of Shame episode with a couple of American friends, and they absolutely did not find it funny because it dealt with with children, and they didn't think it was funny. I thought it was funny. So, what's the premise of The Rehearsal? So Nathan Fielder, what he does in this show is that he goes online and finds people who are going to find themselves in a difficult situation and gives them the opportunity to rehearse this difficult situation before the real thing. And what he does is that he takes them to a warehouse, creates a perfect replica of the area in question, and hires actors to recreate everything, and it's this whole involved thing and has them rehearse the possible outcomes that may happen. This TV show remains a hidden camera comedy in the same vein as Nathan For You. I do find this show to be quite a bit darker though, and quite a bit more depressing. I feel like Nathan For You kind of had this upbeat style to it because it was kind of replicating these HGTV shows or flipping business around TV shows. So it kind of had like a more upbeat feel to it. But I feel like this one is a bit darker and more muted. Even Nathan Fielder himself, whenever you see him in Nathan For You, he's always clean shaven, wearing a nice shirt. But in here, he kind of looks a little more grizzled. Everything kind of feels a bit more gloomy. That's just the impression I got anyway. And probably some people won't take that away, but I feel like there's a clear reason why it kind of has that feel to it. Nathan Fielder fancies himself a satirist, and I think he's quite good at satire. When he talks about Nathan For You, he talks about how his influence for the TV show was the 2008 housing market crash. He saw that big businesses and banks were ripping off the little guy, so he made a TV show where the little guy kind of rips off people, and it's kind of like this Robin Hood story, if you will. That was the whole influence for Nathan For You, and I think that The Rehearsal remains a satire as well. It's a satire, but of different things. It's kind of a satire of this post-pandemic social anxiety that's been going on. I think everyone has at least at one time found themselves in a situation where they're texting someone and they have something really important to say and they find themselves texting it, then they don't send it, erase it, then reword it, then like, oh, they're gonna take it the wrong way, reword it. And I feel like ever since the pandemic, personally, I've been doing that more often. And not only that, and I have a couple of friends that I've talked to about this and they feel the same way. I feel like ever since the pandemic, not just because we were socially isolated, but because we were exposed to a lot of internet, all of a sudden we just became very socially aware to the point where it's quite unhealthy. And I feel like The Rehearsal is a satire of that feeling. And it's for that reason that I feel like this TV show feels a little more gloomy and kind of rough around the edges compared to Nathan For You, which kind of had that more upbeat business slimy feel. And I think that's also the reason why I think this is overall less funny than Nathan For You, because it deals with subject matter that hits a bit closer to home with me. I was really young when the housing market crash happened. Not only that, but I'm Canadian and it didn't really hit Canada as hard, though it looks like we're headed in that direction pretty soon anyway, so I'll get to see what it feels like. But not only that, just because it deals with that social anxiety, I felt like it was less funny and it was less intentionally funny. It kind of reminded me more of Synecdoche, New York, which is a comparison that everyone on the internet is making. For those of you who don't know Synecdoche, New York, it's this fucking depressing movie that makes me cry all the time. I'm a bitch. Philip Seymour Hoffman plays this playwright who gets a grant to make whatever script he wants. So he wants to make a very realistic play, rents out this warehouse, creates a replica of the city, and has people walk around this city. And that's basically what Nathan Fielder does in this TV show. And I'm pretty sure that Synecdoche, New York was an influence for this TV show. I have no doubt about it. And I feel like because of my familiarity with that movie and how dark and depressing that movie is, I'm kind of making this TV show to be a bit darker than it actually is. But it does deal with that kind of post-pandemic anxiety that I feel like is relevant to today. And it doesn't beat you over the head with it. It's kind of like just subtext. But overall, like the first episode, pretty funny. It had some good moments. Nathan Fielder is a great host. Very socially awkward as usual. The editing in this show also is what impressed me, because sometimes you don't know if it's Nathan Fielder rehearsing, you don't know if it's the rehearsal of the individual in question, or you don't know if it's the actual thing, and it kind of jumps back and forth between each scenario. So, yeah, I thought this TV show was really interesting. It's not like Nathan For You, where I'm going to be 3 beers deep and I'm going to tell my buddies to watch Nathan For You with me. It's not at all that. It is a bit more eerie and creepy, but I enjoy it quite a bit so far, just first episode in. Guys, have you seen the first episode of The Rehearsal? Let me know what you think. I'm a little late to this one, but it's whatevs. I'll see you guys around. Take care. I love you.